Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Atheist Experience. We are live. Today is March 14th, 2010. We are live. It's Pi Day, and you are in luck. The very special Pi for today is that AronRa has agreed to drive all the way down from Dallas to join us. He was on the Nonprofits program yesterday as well, so thank you very much and welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
There are still some that argue that the Bible is the source of our morality. They're wrong. It may be the source of their morality, but not our morality. When it's pointed out to these people that the hideous moral code contained in the Old Testament, particularly Leviticus and Deuteronomy, they claim that that all changed with Jesus' death and that the New Testament contains an updated moral code. Obviously, this proposition ignores the Ten Commandments still apply and that it's the same God. Also, there's nothing in the Bible to indicate that God has changed his mind. And of course, there's Matthew 5:17 and 18. Could you comment on the idea that Jesus changed the divine moral code and that the code is contained in the New Testament? This gets back to but that's the Old Testament argument, which comes up all the time in both email and on the show. It's people who have, Christians in particular, who have finally come to an intellectual realization that, yeah, there is some gruesome, objectionable, outright offensive and immoral acts and instructions in the Old Testament. I mean, it sanctions slavery explicitly, who you can enslave, how much you pay for them, how long you can keep them, how to get around the rules for only keeping Jews as slaves for 6 years. It's
how old they can be and under what conditions you can marry them.
Yeah, it's not to mention all of the killing goes on. So these people come to this realization, okay, so I'd rather not have to deal with those objections in the Old Testament. So Jesus came and everything got better. Well, that's not really an accurate representation of the New Testament. First of all, if you chuck out the Old Testament, you chuck out every bit of anything that made the New Testament relevant. You no longer have anything that you can point to that you could have claimed as prophecy, even though we can dispute all day as to whether any of that was prophecy or whether or not it was accurate. But you get rid of, as you pointed out, the Ten Commandments. You get rid of Moses, who is referred to more in the in the New Testament than anybody except Jesus, I think. The traditional Christian Orthodox thing is that our claim is that Jesus didn't circumvent the law. He fulfilled the sacrificial law, which was, you know, he became the ultimate sacrifice. And so it was only those sacrificial laws that he supposedly eliminated, which means that everything else of the 613 commandments that would apply to Jews, etc., are still in there. I tend to find it incredibly dishonest. And the biggest reason is one that you pointed out. You're talking about the same God. You're talking about, and they'll profess all day long, it's the same one. You lose your creation story when you chuck out the Old Testament as well. And if you have the same God, please tell me what was wrong with him in the first go-round. Did he get better?
I'm also curious, I mean, if we absolutely have to stick with the Ten Commandments as being the sole source of morality, then, I mean, we have one list in Exodus 20, we have another one in Exodus 34, and only the first two are repeated in both sets, and only the second set is actually referred to by the Bible as the Ten Commandments. So can you tell me a yes or no question? Are you required to observe the Feast of the Unleavened Bread? And are you prohibited from boiling a baby goat in its own mother's milk?
Not only that, but I'd argue that the New Testament is not an improvement. Yeah, it's not right. It's got nice things in there, you know, about turning the other cheek and trying to forgive people. It's got tons of bad advice. As a matter of fact, if you go over to the wiki at ironchariots.org, you can find my deconstruction of the entire Sermon on the Mount there. But the New Testament is where we get this incredibly offensive idea of eternal punishment for finite crimes. That doesn't exist in Judaism because it's not a prevalent theme in the Old Testament or the Jewish Bible.
And if I can go on about this one more time, I mean, a lot of Christians will have this problem where they say that you have to observe the Ten Commandments in order to determine whether or not you're going to get into heaven. But the criteria is not that. What was laid out by Jesus, according to the New Testament, was literally gullibility. You have to believe. A defiance of the very first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me. I mean, in Isaiah, I think it's 45, 5, 6, and 7, God describes himself and says that there's not anyone beside him. And then Jesus says that I sit on the right hand of power. Right? God says in the first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me. And then Jesus comes along and says, the only way to get through God is through me. So he requires that
There's a reason why Jews rejected all of this.
So Jesus is requiring you to break the very first commandment, and then the criteria, the only criteria, because works are like filthy rags in some interpretations of this, the only criteria to get into heaven is to believe whatever the priests are selling you. And that's it. Works don't matter. Works don't count. Blind, unquestioning gullibility is the only thing that's going to get you into heaven, because it does not matter how wonderful you are. If you didn't believe that Jesus was your Savior, then Jesus himself is going to be running you through the winepress of sinners, as he describes in Revelations. It's Jesus is doing the punishing here. And he's punishing only those who don't believe him, only because they don't believe him. It does not matter what else you do. So all these people that tell me that, well, this is the moral high ground, no, it's not. It's not remotely.
Yeah, your idea of the transition between the Old Testament and the New Testament, yeah, your God got better about a few things. He's not running around telling everybody to kill the opposition.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, when these people say that the Bible admonishes homosexuality, for example, homosexuality is a sin, and is it not the same chapter that also says that you're forbidden to eat shellfish, that it's an equal crime? Well, how can people sit there in this moral high ground at Red Lobster and bash on the homosexuals? Sorry, it's a hypocrisy.
Yep, absolutely. We're going to try and get through some more calls now. We've got them queued up. We've got Ed.
No, we don't.
We don't have Ed. We had Ed in Austin, who had asked, have you heard about the recent discovery that the pyramids were built by paid laborers and not slaves? No, I hadn't heard that. He said, and not slaves, as the Bible claimed. Not only have I not heard that, it doesn't matter because the Bible doesn't mention pyramids at all. It does hold that the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt. It doesn't say that they built the pyramids. However, modern archaeological evidence has pretty much demonstrated that that's just not true. They never were slaves in
And even
Egypt.
if it was true that they were slaves in Egypt, I mean, we have the what was it, the ninth commandment, Timothy? I can't remember which one it was now. That thou shalt not steal, right? And then you've got Exodus, where it's telling the Jews to borrow from their neighbors money and goods and livestock, and we'll bring them back in 40 years.
Yeah. It's payment for those years that you didn't actually enslave us. But anyway, one of the things that I've done a few times is for people who want to call the Bible the good book or talk about how wonderful their Bible is okay, you think it's a good book and you think it has valuable information in it from a God that everybody should know, then please sit me down in a room with your child and allow me to read them stories of my choosing from your book. Nobody takes me up on it. And it's a good thing, because I would have to decline, because I care more about their kids and have more respect for their kids than they do. I would never put them in that position. It's strictly there to make a point. I have no interest in doing it. The fact that nobody's taking me up on it tells me that either nobody's heard it, maybe you haven't heard my little offer, but I think most of them realize that there are things in there that just aren't that good. What they need to start realizing is that it's not that there are things in there that just aren't that good. There's not many things in there that are good.
Yeah, and when people talk about the Bible being a moral guide, there are so many hypothetical situations I can show wherein if the Bible indicates anything at all, it is absolutely the wrong answer according to every social standard or law we have in this country.
Something to think about. We've got Robert in Cleveland.
Hello.
Hey, Robert, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. I just wanted to address some of the things you said about the Old Testament.
Okay.
I've actually been having a number of arguments with my theist friends about this. I do think it is immoral, but I wanted to maybe point out that you're being a little unfair.
About what?
Well, the treatment of
Please say
women who are
slavery.
taken captive.
I was just sitting here whispering, please say slavery. So you think I'm being unfair about slavery?
No, I just wanted to, okay, here we go. Deuteronomy 21, 10 through 14.
No, screw that. You've gone too far. It's in Exodus 21.
Oh, what do you mean?
Exodus 21, beginning with the first verse, it tells you about taking Hebrew slaves. And these are the laws that you're to set before them. If you buy a Hebrew servant, he is to serve you for 6 years, but in the 7th year he'll go free. That sounds kind of nice. And then if you go forward to Leviticus, I think in 25, I think it may be, it specifically says that slaves are your property and you pass them on to your children as property. This lie of the revisionist Christian apologists that the Bible only supports taking captives or and having them work for a period of time or having indentured servitude is a terrible, vicious, stupid lie because it's right there blatantly in their book. No, I wasn't
yeah,
too.
I agree with you.
I wasn't too soft on it.